Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different. I'm going to need your help to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for us to make sure that you can, keep tabs on what we're doing, and then hit that bell for notifications so that you get notified when we pump out new videos. We pump out quite a few videos a week. You know, you're going to get a minimum of 2, up to 5, maybe 6. You'll never know unless you hit that bell so you get notified on how many come out. All right. Now, what's for dessert? We order up the chocolate chip cookies, and guess what we get? Chocolate chip cookies sans chocolate chips with gaming hardware shortages. All right. Tonight, we're all going to talk about hardware shortages that we keep running into. Whether you're trying to build a new gaming PC or just try to get generic gaming hardware. We're talking everything from consoles to headsets to keyboards and mice. Starting to see a little bit more pinch in the old availability of some of this stuff. You know, there's lots of theories going around on why it's that way, and we'll get into kind of some of our thoughts and what we think and what we've seen and noticed amongst the group, and what we hope to see and what our theories are on when maybe we'll see an end to all this. Let's kind of start this one off with Russ. What do you think? What have you ran into with hardware shortages, and what are your theories on why this is going down the way it is?
Well, the first place that I've noticed it is at my place of employment. Though we aren't a very big tech savvy or tech pushing type of a company, we do use iPads for our maintenance techs and for our painters and stuff like that. That's how they do their work orders. And we have had to start ordering months in advance now, whereas we would used to be able to get those things within 48 hours to 5 days at most. In the last 6 months, it seems every month they incrementally get longer with these ship times. Theories upon that could be COVID related. They could be precious metal problems. I mean, there's a lot of different issues with that, but what I can speak to the most is how it's affecting the things that I am trying to order. PS5, the COVID delays with the PS5. Me and Shane are still in the hunt for one. I think we're both kind of in the camp of like, gosh, do we really want to pay for a bundle? Because it seems that's the only way to get them. But in the same case, it is a frustrating thing for a consumer. To demand supply, and here we are, we're just demanding it, and there's just no supply there. It's very frustrating, but definitely I'm seeing it at work when it comes to iPads and even monitors. Monitors seem to be a big deal right now as well. Unless of course you're buying an older series model where they had that inventory built previous to COVID. The newer models, the newer monitors are really kind of tough to come by. So Shane, what about you? What kind of difficulties are you seeing?
Well, you guys know, 2-3 months ago, I got this new PC set up. I was trying to build a computer. I'm not a tech person, so I relied on you guys for, 411 on it. And I did pretty good, finding Newegg and all that stuff, getting all the parts and all that. But it's the graphics card. When I tried to find that, the prices were unfreaking real. The biggest problem I think we have right now with shortages is scalpers. Scalpers are buying up the graphics cards. Scalpers are buying up consoles. There should be a law against it and death penalty for it. I mean, that's my opinion, really. But yeah, it sucked. I could not build my computer because I wasn't about to pay that price for it. And I got lucky, and I got the very last one of these at Best Buy. It's an out of the box PC, but as you guys know, it's pretty good specs, and it runs real well. And I enjoy it, but I would have preferred to have had one, customized and built for the same price, probably, a hair more, but it'd been a little bit better too. And it sucks that we're running into these issues. Really, like Russ said, PS5 is what's really kicking our butt with shortages. They're not developing the consoles at the rate they want to because of, part shortages and whatnot. And then you got all the scalpers coming in and buying them up and trying to, screw people over on it. It's bullcrap. And it sucks. I don't know. I've heard things, it's like Russ said, it's the materials that they can't get out of the earth. And there's, people buying crap up China. I mean, there's a bunch of rumors and people saying this and that. Right now, as a layman, my biggest thing I see is the scalpers. That's becoming the biggest issues with, grabbing your PCs and, building them and your consoles. But that's just me. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest hardware shortage I've seen so far for myself is, of course, the PlayStation 5, which I recently got one. And that was, again, through a bundle. I had to go the bundle route, which is quite a bit more expensive. It's not buying it. It's not paying a scalper. It's just going through a legitimate company. But, companies like GameStop and Best Buy seem to be going more of the bundle route because a lot of scalpers aren't really buying those bundles because they really want just the hardware. They don't care about the games and various other things because there's no, as far as the games and controllers and stuff like that, there's not a shortage of those. So scalpers aren't looking for those items. They're looking for the consoles that are in short supply, right? And the same thing goes with the Xboxes and graphics cards, and NVIDIA just, and I don't know how that's going. I'm assuming not very well, but NVIDIA just released their GTX, was it 3090 that they just came out with. And so I don't know how well that's going as far as people trying to purchase those. I'm assuming not very well. But I haven't really been paying attention to those, but and it's not just gaming goods either. It's a lot of goods out there that are running into the same type of problem, kind of like Russ was saying with monitors. And, it's not even just technology type products. It's a lot of different products, even gasoline has gone up quite a bit, and I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons why, but all of this is kind of correlated from the COVID virus and just kind of our policies and practices that we have in the United States that have kind of, caused in and around the world that have caused these shortages to happen. So there's a lot of different variations and a lot of different things that have caused this stuff. So, as us in the world try to, and as manufacturers and various other places try to correct this issue, I think it's going to be quite a while before we get this corrected, unfortunately. Even PlayStation is saying that, they won't have a mainstream of products coming out of the console until possibly 2022. And that's more like they're not guaranteeing that, right? They're just saying we're thinking it's going to take that long, and it could take even longer than that. And the same thing with Xbox. And then, we might start seeing more products that we commonly, don't have to worry about purchasing or getting our hands on that we're going to find it's harder and harder and harder to get a hold of. Scalpers are part of the problem. I agree with Shane on that. They're not 100% the problem, right? They're a portion of it, but they're not 100% of the whole problem. They don't make it easier, but they sure, aren't the whole thing as everything as a whole. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the hardest thing to get a hold of right now is consoles and a lot of technology type products. But, we've been hearing things a lot about other shortages and stuff like that, possibly, I heard a while back, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but a meat shortage. They were talking about meat becoming, during the summertime, going to become harder to get a hold of, different types of meat and various things like that in supermarkets and stuff. So, right now it seems to be fine, at least where we live. But, is that going to be a possibility? It definitely could be. So, yeah, it's troubling times in all aspects of consuming, of what we want to consume. But, Pat, what do you think, man?
I don't necessarily see the meat shortage coming along, especially not where we live. We live in the Bible Belt, also known as the cattle belt.
Yeah, here it doesn't seem to be a problem, but
I would find that very interesting if we did, because in my opinion, we all went into COVID, but the animals still a lot. There's animals still out there, and there were still animals on the farm that were doing what animals do, which is eating and crapping and growing and making babies. So I don't know. I think it's just another one of those.
My life.
I think it's another one of those. We're out of toilet paper. Let's scare everybody to buy more toilet paper.
It probably is.
But But
well, there was the big meat packing company, like the largest in the U.S. They got hacked by some Russian nut job again.
right.
And
But all they
need
did
to
was
be
stop
shut
packing
too.
meat. That doesn't mean that the animals stopped being animals and stopped.
The animals went on
producing.
strike.
Right. The animals went on
Yes.
strike. It's not like
Eat more
the meat
chicken.
packers shut down. That would have an immediate, couple of weeks to a month impact on the industry. It's not going to have like a 6 months or 3 months down the road impact, because if there's still meat coming that was sitting in that packer when they shut down, meeting the market in 4 months, no way, not eating that stuff. It's green by now, So, but the chip shortage is a thing. The semiconductor shortage is one of the main issues, and semiconductors are in everything, from cell phones to cars to controllers to headphones to everything. Everything electronic pretty much has a semiconductor in it in some way, shape, or form, and that. And while I agree with Nick that scalpers are somewhat to blame, they're not even close to 50% to blame. The shortage is, in all intents and purposes, a human created issue. I mean, we have a twofold. This is just my opinion. We have a twofold thing attacking this. One is the majority of people went home and they stayed home, started working from home, or lost their jobs and got stuck at home. So what do we do when we're at home? We watch TV. We play video games, we play on our phones, we listen to music, we put on headphones, we do all this stuff. And when we have to do this a lot, we find out that maybe what we have is subpar and we spend more money. Or maybe I didn't have these things. Maybe I want a nice pair of headphones because I'm in a house with 4 people and they all want to listen to music, but I hate their music. Their music is crappy and they think my music is crappy. So everybody's in headphones. Or I'm playing video games and everybody's tired of hearing my game upstairs or in my bedroom or whatever. So I have to get headphones. All that stuff lends to people are being consumers. Our consumership went up when we went home. I mean, lots of people this year bought consoles, they bought phones, they bought headphones, they bought gaming accessories, video cards. I mean, people were stuck at home. So they're like, I'm updating my gaming rig so that they can play better. I did exactly that same thing. And I ran into no video card. I could not get a video card. I have a brand new gaming machine and I had to completely change what I wanted to put in it because I had a nice new, Ryzen built machine that I had spec'd out and ended up having to go away from it because AMD got hit harder with the shortage than Intel did. So I went with an Intel build, but I still never got a video card because I can't get one. So I have my old 960 in there. So I'm way behind the times. I am 4 generations behind because I don't even have a 1060. I don't have a 2000 series. I don't even have a 3000 series. So I'm 4 generations behind and I couldn't buy a video card. We all struggled trying to get an Xbox on day one because Xbox, it was just like a madhouse of people trying to buy those consoles. And that was right at the beginning of the holiday season of last year to get pre-orders in. None of us were lucky enough to get PlayStation at that time because of that, but that's a normal release cycle. But here we are, we're about 8 months past the release cycle of both consoles, and you still cannot just go to the store and buy either one of them off the shelf because they can't keep up with demand. Everything I have read is that manufacturers are well at 100+% on output, which if like Samsung and a few other, there's like 2 major semiconductor manufacturers out there, and they are both running at 100+% right now. And typically they operate at 80% capacity. So right now they're pumping out more chips than they do normally. They just can't keep up with demand. And it has a little bit to do with scalpers buying up everything, but scalpers wouldn't buy up everything if there wasn't a demand for it. So, there's shortages in headphones, everything. That's just what I see happening. And, and then we start hearing the automakers say, well, we have cars sitting 99% built, but we can't put the computer in it because we can't get the processors for them. So brand new cars that are just going to sit out there. So I wonder if the chip shortages goes into 2022 and into 2023, are we going to start seeing some 2021 cars that never got sold that maybe we can get a real good deal on in 2023? I mean, we got a brand new car, never ran. We just got a chip for it. Who wants to buy these 2-year-old new cars? Never been touched, not even considered a program car.
Oh yeah, chips are sold separately.
Right. You got to buy your own chip.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to do with that stuff. I mean, we got all kinds of stuff. I mean, Xbox came out with their new headset. It sold out within minutes and took like a month to get back into restock, which that very rarely happens for a headset. I mean, come on, a headset.
It took like
Well,
2 or 3 months to get
Right.
back in stock.
But that never happens on a headphone set, you know? Like, Nick, you tried to get one day one, right? Like, you tried to buy one as soon as they were available?
Yep, when they were sold out. I eventually got one. Honestly, well, it's probably close to a month now. But yeah, I mean, it was several months. Maybe been longer than 3 months when I was out. Well, probably about 3, maybe 4 months. But it was quite a while for a headset. I was like, seriously, headsets?
Right.
But yeah,
that's
I mean, exactly what you said. I mean, it's part of the problem as well. Even headsets.
I think
Everything.
Something you would
I mean,
think is something
cell
you would think
phones.
wouldn't be
Right.
a problem.
I think Patrick had a good point with the fact of people being at home, because we saw the shortages, and I know this is a gaming and a kind of podcast, but you also saw shortages in weight equipment, exercise equipment. You saw shortages in bicycles. I mean, like a bicycle, like there were places that were completely, you went to Academy one time and all the bicycles were gone. They were all sold. So like he said, I think the consumership, along with precious metals and semiconductors and those things of being like missing or shortages of them, whether it was due to COVID related kind of like shutdown times, it's real. It's going to take, I think as a whole, it's going to take a solid couple of years. We're not going to see it completely recovered, I don't think, within a couple of years. I mean, if you look at the movie industry, they've been shut down since March of last year, and now they're just now starting to open up movies, and now they're going to start releasing movies that were slated to be let go or released a year ago. So, it's going to be this reciprocal thing or this cyclical thing. I'm sorry, not reciprocal, but cyclical thing, a little bit at a time. And my hopes is that we'll have a little bit bigger stock with the PS5. Maybe by some luck, Sony's being smart and kind of holding some stock for the holiday season, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, my dream is to have a PS5 before my birthday.
All right. But yeah, I mean,
when's that one, Russ? When's your birthday?
It's in November.
All right.
Yeah.
So by November.
but I mean, I think I just read, like Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturer, I think in Samsung are two of the largest semiconductor manufacturers. I think I heard both of them had like put out a proposal to buy like brand new $2 billion factories to keep up with demand because they don't see it letting up. If this was COVID related and scalper related, they wouldn't be pumping that much money into their infrastructure. Because if they're normally operating at, before COVID hit, 80% capacity, then they had a 20% availability that they can run at. I think they're looking at the big picture as work from home is a common thing now. I mean, a majority of the companies, and we've seen it in the news lately, a majority of the companies are going, we either have to let our people work from home or they're just not coming back. I mean, that's the reality of it. People are quitting their jobs because they can't work from home at a job that they were doing for a year plus from home without issue. And companies are going to start offering that as a benefit because we're going to get there. I mean, the company I work for has basically said, if your employees want to work remote, let them. It's been a year that we've been doing this and business is just as good as before. People are getting work done, and I think more work does get done at home sometimes, but it just does take certain individuals a certain mindset. But I think that this is going to continue a trend until these semiconductor manufacturers get caught up with the new consumerism because we're all staying at home. So what does that mean for the average person? That means that you're home on average 2 more hours a day because there's no driving to work, no driving from work. And what happens when you drive to work or from work? You stop at places. You spend money at those places that you are now saving money. If your daily routine was every morning you went to work, you bought a Starbucks. And now that you're not driving to work, or you went to McDonald's, got a large sweet tea, who knows what you're getting, or you drove to work and did whatever, you stopped by that gas station and got yourself a breakfast sandwich and a freaking fountain drink for $5, whatever your routine was. Imagine that you're saving $5 a day now times 5 times 20.
Yeah. And just looking at the gas consumption too. I mean, gas prices are just outrageous right now. And they do this shit, pardon my language, they do it all the time. Gas prices go way up and then they drop by pennies, way up, drop by pennies. Right now, I mean, you work from home. If I started to work from home today, that's $35 to $40 a week I'm saving and just gas. not to mention lunch or like you said, stopping and grabbing a mix something or, Starbucks or whatever.
Right. So if you're saving all that money, you have more money to spend on your electronic gaming habits. I mean, you can.
My wife said no.
Right. But it would happen anyway. I mean, because you're at home more, you're going to get bored. It's like, okay, I can either spend money on entertainment as far as like going and hanging out with my friends. But if, I'm at home more often, I'm probably going to spend stuff on home things, or I'm going to buy a new phone more often than I would, or any of this. So I think that we are in this cycle for the long run. And I do think that it's going to become a staple to where they just need to increase throughput, output for and by doing that, they got to build more facilities. I mean, that the largest manufacturer is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, I think that's what they're called, or something like that. They make like almost $40 billion a year in chips. And they're saying that they have beat that this year. So if they are beating that, that's telling you that it's not a supply issue. It's a demand issue now. The demand has increased and the supply has not been able to keep up. So we are turning into just a much larger consumer-based society. Just imagine if the Star Trek world happened to tomorrow, we would be hosed because we all can't get our Xboxes and PlayStation, the computers we want. So now what are we going to do? Nobody's going to want to work for that crap. So just imagine that. So this is kind of a proof of a concept of that. If you look at it in that aspect, is that everybody wants now, because I'm at home, I need all this entertainment stuff to keep me entertained because I'm not spending as much time with work. And I'm just as guilty. I mean, I used to go to work. I used to get up every morning at 4:30, be to work around 6:30 or 7, and I would stay till 5 or 6. And I'm at home now. I roll my ass out of bed at like 6:45, get on my computer. I get off around 4:30. I don't spend the extra time at work because I figure now I'm just constantly on the clock all the time. So I figure I could just handle stuff when I can. So I feel that I'm putting less time in, which means I'm at home more with my electronics. So I feel that I'm kind of in a position of where the majority of people are going, and people are quitting their jobs that are making them come back into the office.
Yeah,
I don't know how many places are going there. Shayna, is your place offering to let you guys go remote?
Nope. No, but that's not really my work is there's a lot of people interactivity. So, I mean, yes, you can do it through, Zoom and all that stuff, but, we're more of a handshaking, not so much anymore, but, we're more of a handshaking company, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But when I was working from home, because we did have a period of a few months where we worked from home last year, I loved it. I hated it at first, and then I got acclimated, and it was really hard to go back to the office because, like you said, I have to be, working by 7:30. So instead of getting up at 6, I'm getting up at 7:15. My wife, she loved me working from. She'd bring me breakfast in here. I'd sit here and eat breakfast and work, and it was nice. It hurt to go back, but I also understand why, my field does that, and that's perfectly fine. But
I mean, your field is ripe for working from home. I mean, there's
no reason
you can't.
It truly is. But my boss is more old school, but that's one reason my company's been around for 78 years. Is my boss is old school. He knows how to work it, and he knows how to talk to people, and this is the way he does it. And I ain't gonna tell him it's wrong because it's kept him afloat 78 years.
But I mean, I think it'll hurt him on new talent.
I think you're absolutely right, because there's kids these days that, especially as the younger generation, they're going to see more and more working from home, and they're going to be like, why the hell would I go anywhere? I could do the same thing from my chair at home. I didn't like working from home for a few reasons, and I loved working from home a lot of reasons. And it sucks, but I did play more games. At lunch break, I'd get some stress reliever in. I'd sit there and, I'd play a shooter or whatever. After work, I would be, I'd get up, I'd go out to I'm in the game room. So I'd walk out and boom, make dinner. I'm done with dinner by 5:30. I'm back on the games at 6, or, doing our stuff. It's nice. But I am on my electronics 100 times more.
And
it has its drawbacks, like you said. But I disagree, though. The 20% of consoles that are being scalped up, I think that's a big hit, in my opinion. And
Well, I mean,
I think it's more than 20%.
That still wouldn't put a console in every player's hands that wants one. I mean, that's just even if scalpers didn't get them. Let's be realistic. I hate scalpers just as much as you because we all would have had a console as much as we dig in before that. But they're still not even a fraction of the people who want one. We all know that Nick works at home. Nick's been working at home for years, so his habits haven't changed in years. But they probably did when he first started working from home. Did you get you a new gaming laptop or any new gaming hardware since you were home more often, Nick?
I mean, besides the Xbox and the PlayStation, no, I think the gaming laptop I'd bought before I started working from home, but, I've been working from home for 5 years, a little over 5 years now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love working from home. Just be able to roll out of bed and go on my computer to turn it on, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to make sure I get up early so I can take a shower and get ready and all that stuff and get in my car and drive and commute to the place. I can just roll out of bed and hit the power button on my laptop and then log in, make myself a pot of coffee and sit down. Right. And I feel like I'm more productive that way, really. I mean, I don't have to worry about, some people worry about like, well, on my lunch break, all I do is play video games. It's like, okay, well, what do you do at your work on your lunch break? What, you sit in your car for an hour, or you went to Subway and had a sandwich? I mean, you're not really doing anything different other than just eating lunch. So it's pretty much the same thing. I feel like I get more things done, and I also get more things done around the house, right? I mean, you have those downtimes where you're like, hey, I'm going to work on this, or I'm going to clean that, or I'm going to, work on something in my house while I have this downtime from work. And I can, I'm just more productive that way. I can get more things done around the house. Whereas all those, if you go into work, if you commute to work, and if you think about it, those things that you need to get done around your home, they don't happen until the weekend because you're too busy leaving your house, commuting to work, working, commuting back home. By the time you get home, you're so exhausted from all that commuting that you're just ready to sit down, watch a movie or play a video game and go to bed and repeat the same thing. But if you work from home, you feel like, hey, I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I can, right? I'm going to take like 15 minutes and I'm going to go do laundry real quick or something. I don't know, whatever it is. And so I don't know. Right. And I can understand that too. I can understand why people, a lot of jobs, not every job, granted, but there are a lot of jobs nowadays, especially that you can do it from home, right? There's a ton of jobs nowadays where there's no reason why you have to go into an office building unless your boss just wants to sit there and constantly watch you work, which they should be working themselves, right? So, unless that's the whole ideal behind them, really it's like, I could do all this from home. Why do I have to be here around everybody? Why do I have to commute and go to this area? And, even as a business, if they only had one home office and didn't have all the offices, they're also saving money by having people work from home, right? They don't have to pay for these buildings and pay for the cost of electricity and air conditioning and whatever else in these office buildings. They can just get rid of them and say, hey, we have one head office, right? Because they have to at least have, I would assume, at least need one brick and mortar store or office building, and then everything else is work from home. For me in my job, I don't have a reason to go into the office, even though we do have an office here in Springfield, because all the people in my team do not live in Missouri. They don't live in Springfield. They don't live in Missouri at all. My boss lives in Arizona, right? A lot of my coworkers live up in Michigan. Some of them live in different states around the United States. None of them live here in Missouri. So there's no point in me going to the office to talk to basically nobody. The only reason I go in the office is to talk to Patrick.
Right. So when you started working from home, do you think that your gaming and your electronic consumption increased? Even though it was 5 years ago, it's probably hard to remember back then, but I imagine to some extent it did.
Oh, for sure. Because I'm at home, right. During lunch, exactly what Shane said. During lunch, I'd hop on my Xbox or PlayStation or whatever and play a game. Right. Eat my mixed sandwich and play a game.
Yeah, I guarantee his gaming time went up because look at the text messages, that I would get, just randomly at freaking, noon, one, hey, I beat this, I beat that. What? When did you get that time?
Russ, did you get to work from home at all with your job and your job?
Well,
your job offer some of that?
So previously, my previous position that I was in during COVID, we did go work from home with the shutdown, and then we stayed work from home, and then we had a reduction in workforce that affected my position there, and then I went in and basically when I got my new job, it's always been in. Now we do have a small work from home option, and we're still working on some availability with certain positions to allow that. Not all of the positions in our company can do that. We can't have a work from home leasing agent. You can't have those things like that, but they are looking at some possibilities depending on the position. My company, like Shane's, is a little bit old school in the sense of like they like to have you there. I am a little bit different from the group. I'd like to be in the office most of the time. I do like to like if I could do a split where I'm doing 2 days at home, 3 days in the office, I would love that. That would be my perfect build, because for me, a lot of my when I'm at home, I'm able to focus in on my job and get 10 times more done in that time than I am at work because of interruptions. So it's a little bit different, but we also have very different jobs. All four of us have, I mean, Patrick and Nick have similar jobs, very slightly similar jobs, just because they work for the same company, but the four of us as a whole have very different jobs. I mean, being a recruiter, I like to see people in person and stuff like that. And so, but if I was to become a talent scout or something like that, then everything could be completely at home. But previously, when I was working from home, shoot, I would finish all my work by 2:00. I would get on at 7 and work till 2, and it would be, and all my work would be done. So then I would take my lunch and I would handle things while I'm still being responsible and taking care of my job, but it still gave me that freedom. And I probably played more games from March of last year to June, or Mayish of that year, for those 2 months, than I had in the year previous, just because of all the available time that we had. Like you said, you get up, you roll out of bed, you throw some water in your hair. Well, I did have hair at that point in time, and you look fine for the camera and you're good to go. So yeah, I mean, I agree that probably does have a huge impact on, the consumption of things in the market. Everybody, I mean, you just look at the way Patrick's setup has absolutely changed in the last 6 months. His computer, he has lighting for certain things. He has a 3D printer. He has all those things now that, that he's saving money on through gas. He's able to purchase stuff. So I think that's an actual really, really good point. It's the volume of consumption could play a large portion into this as well. We are just giving our opinions. We don't know for sure. We don't have any crystal ball. If we knew for sure, we would definitely not be in the job that we're doing right now. We'd be some in analytics of something or another. But
did you buy new hardware when you started working from home? I think you did. I think that's when your gaming laptop came into play.
I bought a gaming laptop.
I think you got so bored.
Oh, like within the first I mean, actually right before when we heard about the shutdown order, I went and I got me a gaming laptop. I got me a new keyboard, a new mouse. Got me a new headphones. I mean, absolutely. I did a lot of that. He was
ready for that boredom to set in. He's like, I'm going to be bored stuck at home.
Downloaded World of Warcraft. I mean, even though that didn't last long, but hey, yes, I agree. So yeah, and that's just me. And I'm a little bit different in the group too. I do like to get out and get going sometimes. I do love my home time, but I also like going to do things. So even for me, who is not 100% like wanting to be at home, I still purchase stuff to upgrade. So if it was somebody like me did it, Lord knows what, housewife A did, corporate executive person did, who knows what they did,
Right. I mean, a lot of my friends this year, and Nick, yours may be the same, and everybody else's that are, not typical gamers, they were asking me, hey, how can I get a new computer for my kid? Or how can I get a new Xbox or a PlayStation? I really want to get them one because we're stuck at home and he's bored. And I'm like, good luck is what's going to take. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, have you not read that there's a shortage of this and that? And they're like, no, the common consumer hasn't heard about this. So when they go in and buy a laptop or gaming PC at Best Buy, that PC is about $300 to $400 more than it would have been last year. Because we went in and the girlfriend needed a new laptop so she could do the design work and stuff. Because she does a lot of design work for us and her own stuff and everything. And I'm like, she's like, I need a new laptop. And the laptop that I got her was a $500 laptop 6 years ago or 5 years ago or something. And I swear the gaming laptops were like through the roof. I'm like, man, I could have got the same thing for $600, $700 the previous year that was $1,100 now. And it's all because they can't get the components. And when they do, they pay a premium for them, even because they're competing against each other for them. So, and as a consumer, we can't get those components. Like video cards are sold out, motherboards are sold out. The stuff that you need to build the basic components, processors are sold out, because people are just buying them. I mean, I don't think I haven't stepped into a Best Buy in a long time. I usually only go to Best Buy around Christmas time or if I pre-order something. And we went to Best Buy on a random weekend. And I swear there was no standing room in the computer section. And they were sold out of just about everything. I mean, you just can't get it. And it's a consumer. And the guy at and I guarantee you Best Buy is posting record sales and GameStop and all these places are just record sales because they can't keep the products in hand. And I don't. And like I said, scalpers are to blame. And even if they're 50% to blame, the number of consoles sold, even counting if scalpers didn't take them, isn't enough to put a console in everybody's hands that can afford to buy one right now.
If you compare it,
but it would put a good dent into that though.
Right. I don't know what the percentage is. So
I think Sony officially said I think it was 15%, but one analyst said it was like 25. So I would probably lean towards more the analyst because I don't trust what Sony says at all. But one thing, though, for the price gouging is the biggest problem with stuff going up. The higher the demand, the higher the prices, and that's what people are doing. They're just trying to make bucks. And there's nothing wrong with making $1, but it's getting pretty bad when you're just screwing everybody over left and right.
Well, I mean, in a market that we have, the consumer always pays the price. I mean, that's the way that this country's been made, and that's the way it is. But really, when you think about it, and I think Pat and Nick especially can attest to this, is that when a mid to high tier graphics card costs as much as a whole PC did 3 years ago, that tells you a lot. I mean, the card that Nick just talked about, I think that's a $1,500 to $2,300 card right now. I mean, you could buy a heck of a rig 2 years ago for $2,300 easily.
Well, I mean, the 3090, the 90 series of any of their cards has always been their flagship. And you're always looking at $1,200 minimum for that card, no matter what time of the year. But you're looking at that price now for a low end card, $1,500, $1,200. You can maybe get lucky with an $800 3060 or 3070, which is way outside of price scoping right now. But if scalpers get a hold of them, you're going to pay twice as much because that same $1,200 card is $24 now on a scalper if you go to scalper. But I refuse to pay a scalper for anything. So
yeah,
as you can see, I put my 960 in my new gaming machine. I mean, it's like it cost me almost $2,000 to build this gaming PC, and I don't even have a video card in it. So that's how much I hate scalpers. I will not pay a scalper. I will wait until I can buy a card at a later date for a reasonable price, even if it takes me a year plus.
Yeah. There's definitely needs to be some laws set up against these scalpers, and especially using bots. I mean, if they did the work to get these things, actually did the work, it wouldn't irk me so bad. But they just have their computer do everything for them, and but it's not just scalpers though. Well, the companies, the stores, they need to do a hell of a lot better job and preventing these things. But that's just
right. But let's just take into consideration that Sony they've sold 7.8 million, almost 8 million consoles. Mm-hmm. If scalpers got half of those, that's still not enough to cover even the American market for these consoles.
Nope, but I got a better
So.
chance of putting it in my hand. Russ has a better chance of putting it in his.
Right.
It increases the odds you're going to get it by 50%. Think about it.
But I don't necessarily believe that it was that high of a number, but I could be wrong.
No,
I don't know.
No, I mean, I'll agree with that analyst that I read. It was, it's probably about 25%. Because they can't hit every store every day, but they're doing a dang good job. They're hitting the big ones. They're hitting, Best Buy. They're hitting GameStops. They're hitting Amazon. I read a thing the other day. Some guy said he got one at Target or Toys R Us in Canada. I didn't know there was a freaking Toys R Us left. He said they had it in stores. You give me that giraffe. Bring me that damn giraffe. If he's got a
they are
PlayStation.
coming back though. They are going to build brick and mortar stores for Toys R Us again.
Yeah,
but also,
there's another bankruptcy coming.
Also, I've been seeing on Reddit that a lot of places, a lot of brick and mortar stores have been have PlayStation and Xbox stock, but they can only sell it online. And they're not allowed to sell them in stores, which I don't know. It seems weird. I mean, because if you do, they could do a one per customer type of thing. I mean, it's probably because they don't want people coming in and asking, and harassing their employees for these consoles. And that's understandable, but,
they
selling them online.
They also don't want a ton of people in the store right now. I mean,
Right.
it is still COVID time. I mean, even though everything's laxing here where we're at in Missouri, everything's blowing back up. Everybody's getting sick again, and the COVID wards are opening back up. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
It's the sequel,
right?
Yeah,
it's
just
COVID,
get
the
your
sequel.
damn shots so I can go into the store and get my PlayStation. You bastards!
But I mean, we those are just my theories. Anybody else got any other theories? We got scalpers, we've got this, we've got that. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen. But I honestly think that we're just doing what consumers do. We're being sequestered in our homes, and everybody's like, well, I don't want to be bored, so my phone's a piece of crap. My computer's a piece of crap. I got an old Xbox. I want a new one. I want a new controller. Mine's got a little drift, which we might have lived with before if we were playing 2 hours or an hour a night or something. But now that you're at home playing 4 and 5 hours a night, you're like, this thing sucks. I need a new one. Chuck it in the trash,
Yeah. No, it's a really crappy time for people like us that are highly into electronics of all sorts. And, it's until supplies get back up, until prices come back down and people get their COVID shots, everybody needs to play Uno until I get my PlayStation.
Uno.
Uno. All right. Anybody else got any predictions? I think we're going to see this well into 2023, in my opinion.
I think we're going to see it. I think the only time that we're going to see this, in my opinion, I think the time we're really going to see a real big turnaround. And I'm talking a big turnaround, not like a little bit of a turnaround or anything. I'm talking about this huge, significant turnaround in the market. It's probably going to be 2024. I think it's going to last that long, unfortunately. I think we'll see waves come, right, in 2023 and so on and so forth. But I think we're really going to see that significant turnaround in 2024, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not an analyst, so I could be completely wrong. But
hey, thanks for bumming me out.
Well, I mean, I wish Shane and Russ good luck in trying to find a PlayStation 5. I mean, I absolutely have enjoyed mine since I've got it. And, and it took a lot of what I would normally not do to find one. Like, I set up a lot of alerts and woke up at 2:00 in the morning many a times, hopping on my computer, even though I had to be up and work the next morning and be like, can I get one? Oh, they're not sold out yet. Let me hit the refresh button 30 times. And next thing I know, it's an hour later and I'm like, I didn't get one and it's 3:30 in the morning and I got to get up and go to work in a couple hours, So, I hope it lightens up, but I honestly don't see it lightening up until close to the end of 2023, honestly. It's taken Sony this long to pump out 8 million units, and they're sitting on top of some of the largest cache of rare earth metals to be able to make this stuff. So they're, Microsoft's only put out 1.5 million units compared to theirs. So
no, I think they were like 3.8 the other day. Is one thing I read.
I don't think they're anywhere
because they weren't even hitting half of what Sony was, but it was fairly close to half.
Well, the last stuff that I remember reading was they weren't even at 2 million. So I mean, maybe I'm talking Xbox Series X. I'm not talking about the S because the S is not a.
I don't think that was in the count, but it might have been. I really don't remember for sure.
I think that it was like I thought I read like it was 1.5 million for that. But I mean, because I mean, any real gamer, I shouldn't say that. Any gamer that's really serious that's going to buy a PS5 and an Xbox, they're shooting for the top of the line.
Yeah,
like I am.
Yeah,
and I mean the whole team is. I mean, nobody here bought a Series S. We all bought the X, not the S.
No, I would buy the S if one of my regular Xboxes went out. Not my
one for my
not
son.
my X, but
you gave him your One X, right? I mean, your Series X, One X, right?
My One
so
X,
I mean, I think the One X is just as good, if not a little bit better than that thing. So
yeah,
right,
the only difference truly is this.
better.
Yeah.
But so cool. All right. Well, I mean, anybody else theories? Anything they want to bring up before we put this one to bed?
No,
right, well,
I think I've said all I can about scalpers.
I think we're gonna go knock off an old grandma so we can get some chocolate chips for these cookies. So we'll catch you guys later, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.
See ya.